So I think it was a few weeks ago, I made a video of a mailbag in which I asked you guys the questions that I was curious about as Bulls fans. I want to know from other Bulls fans' perspective what you guys thought. So I had asked 5 questions, and then I had you guys provide your responses to each question in the comments. And it was a lot of fun because I get to see your guys' takes on these questions rather than just you guys listening to me responding to yours. Now for this video, I wanted to replicate what I did in that one and asking you guys questions and hearing your responses from them, but doing it a little bit differently and doing it in a more would you rather scenario type situation between 2 options. I'll then briefly provide my take on the scenario and would love your guys' choices for each of these in the comments below. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Guys, before I get into the video, I did want to quickly mention that I will be traveling to go see my family for a few weeks starting this weekend, and it's been nearly a year since I've been able to see my folks given their age and their high risk category. So the reason I bring this up is because you've probably gotten a little used to me uploading daily content. Well, of course, over the next couple weeks, I may not be as consistent as I have been. I might miss a few days here and there, as I do want to take that time and spend it with my family, because as much as I love basketball and talking about the Bulls, family is my #1 priority. And since I haven't been able to see them in person for a very long time, I wanted to make sure that I do take full advantage of that. Don't worry though, I'll obviously still be uploading content, especially if there's any big news on the Bulls or they do somehow pull off a miracle and making it to the playoffs. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that so you guys were aware. And since I will be traveling this weekend, I won't be having a live chat for the game against the Hawks on Saturday, and probably likely not a post-game video for that either. But anyway, enough about that. Let's get into the content, and let me start with my first would you rather scenario. I want to know if you guys had to choose. Again, I know there are a lot of factors to consider in all of these, but if you had to choose between having Coby White or Lonzo Ball, who would you take? Now, my perspective on this, it's tough, and it's why I'm curious what you guys think. Now, if this was back when Coby was playing very poorly and had been benched and was shooting awful from the floor, turning the ball over, making bad decisions, I would have said Lonzo Ball, no question. But the thing that makes this scenario a little more challenging is, well, one, Coby has been playing better, and it remains to be seen whether he'll actually continue playing like that. On top of that, Coby is younger. I personally think he has more upside potential than someone like Lonzo Ball, because Coby has very strong work ethic and wants to learn and improve his game. And Coby, at least for now, is on a much cheaper contract, since obviously he's still on his rookie scale deal for the next 2 seasons, whereas Lonzo Ball is going to be looking to get paid when he becomes a restricted free agent this offseason. Personally, if I had to choose, I would probably stick with Coby at this point, which I know a lot of you guys aren't going to agree with and are going to think that I'm crazy, but as I mentioned before, I'm still not 100% sold on Lonzo. I do think that he would be a good piece to add to this team for the skills that he brings. But if if it meant having to give up Coby for him, I don't know. I would probably pass. I would rather still be able to keep Coby White, even if it means he becomes our 6th man. He's still young and has potential. Now, my next would you rather is very, very hypothetical and not practical for the Bulls at all, but I'm still curious about it. And that is, would you rather have Kyle Lowry or Mike Conley on this team as our point guard? So we know the Bulls are going to be in search of a point guard this offseason. I mean, that has been made clear for a while now. I know Coby has been playing better, but the fact of the matter is the Bulls need an experienced, savvy point guard who can run the floor and best utilize Lavine and Vucevic on offense. And of course, there are going to be a lot of point guards available, both young and old, this offseason. But between these two, who would you choose? Obviously, they're both quality point guards. They have great court vision and high basketball IQ. They would be great for this young roster. However, as I mentioned, likely not practical, given they're both going to want a lot of money, more money than the Bulls can afford. If I had to choose between the two, I would likely go with Mike Conley, just because he is a little bit younger than Lauri. He's having an incredible season and a big part of the Jazz's success this year. Lauri, I think he's a better overall player between the two, or he's had a better overall career anyway, but he has started to decline a bit and is 2 years older, so I would have wanted someone that's still got a little bit more juice left in the tank. So for that reason, I'm going with Mike Conley. Next up, would you rather the Bulls win 1 championship within the next 5 years, or the team be bad to mediocre, but be a dynasty winning multiple championship team 10 years from now? Obviously, it's tough to see our team be bad for so many years and be titleless for nearly 23 years now. So the thought of being bad or average for the next 10 years is kind of hard to swallow, especially knowing the Bulls just made some pretty big moves to be relevant now. And the fact that we have a new front office, you would hope that these changes are going to be made soon, so that way we can start competing much more quickly. But for me personally, I would much rather have another dynasty team in Chicago, even if it means that it's 10 years from now, rather than winning just one title in the next 5 years. But I'm curious what you guys would want between these two. Next, and this is more from a historical perspective, but if you had to choose, and I know I'm bringing back nightmares now, but if you had to choose between Fred Hoiberg and Jim Boylen as the Bulls head coach, meaning if Billy Donovan was fired today and you had to choose between these two guys, who would you take? I know, why would I even ask this question? Well, I'm curious because I'm a curious person and I love these type of questions. I mean, they're both bad coaches, no question. I was never a fan of either of these hires. Neither coach really knew what the hell they were doing, but I think if I had to choose between the two, I would take Hoiberg, just because Hoiberg, although a bad coach and never really a good fit for the roster that we had and the type of system that he likes to run, he at least wasn't arrogant, rude, and disrespectful to the media and to the players. I mean, that was one of the things that bothered me about Jim Boylen so much, was the fact that he had so little self-awareness and thought because he was an assistant coach under Greg Popovich that he could act like Pop without any of the accolades to earn that kind of respect. So both guys were bad coaches, but I at least had some respect for Hoiberg, and I do think the younger guys responded a little better to Hoiberg, whereas they could not stand Jim Boylen. Next, and this will be my last one, I'll try to keep it at least 5 questions. So if you guys could take the 2017 draft back, and rather than choosing Lauri at number 7, which we received in that trade from the Wolves for Jimmy Butler, if you could take that pick back, would you have selected Donovan Mitchell, who went 13th overall, or Bam Adebayo, who went 14th? Obviously, both players, great players, and already all-stars in their short careers. They provide different skill sets, with Donovan Mitchell primarily being a scorer who can shoot from outside, but also being a slasher to the basket. Not really known that much for his defense, but I think most would agree that he is the best player on the Utah Jazz, a team that has the best record in the league right now. Whereas with Bam Adebayo, a big man that is an incredible defender, a shot blocker, but is also great on offense as well. He's improved that area of his game greatly in the last 2 seasons, by adding a jump shot to his game, and is also just become an incredible rebounder as well. Obviously, both are young. Bam is being 23, Donovan Mitchell is 24. In a way, this question is kind of a tough pill to swallow, knowing that the Bulls could have had one of these guys on the roster back in the 2017 draft. I actually made a video a while back on redrafting the Bulls' 3 number 7 picks. I'll leave a link to that if you guys missed it, if you're new to the channel. But in that video, I actually went with Donovan Mitchell and drafting him over Bam. I mean, it's obviously a close call between these two, because they offer very different skill sets, but at the end of the day, I think Donovan Mitchell will be a more impactful player as their careers go on. I think they're both going to be great players, obviously, but if I had to choose between the two, I think I would take Mitchell. Anyway, let me know your guys' choices in these would you rather scenarios. You can list them in order of the options I provided, or you can only answer 1 or 2, or you don't have to answer any. It's totally up to you guys. I just like having this channel be a little more engaging and interactive, and hearing your guys' thoughts on the matter. Don't forget, the Bulls will be taking on the Bucks tomorrow. I'll have a live group chat for that game, but like I mentioned, I will be traveling this weekend, so I likely won't have a chat for the game against the Hawks on Saturday, but I'll still be coming out with content when I can. Be sure to subscribe as I post daily Bulls content, guys. Thanks for tuning in as always, and I will catch you in the next one.